something amazing out of this. This guy, I affectionately call him Coach K. I am not partial to the Blue Devils, but I love this man. I have a bit of a man crush on him, I'm not gonna lie. He is a serial entrepreneur. He's an incredible man. He understands how to grow businesses. He understands how to have impacts on not only the people that he works with, but the communities that he serves. And I'm very, very excited to introduce you today in the hopes that he will have an impact on you, Mr. Josh Kalinowski.
Hey. I kind of want to meet this guy. He sounds pretty awesome, man. Holy smokes. Hey, congratulations, you guys. What an awesome day for you guys. What an awesome day for me to be a part of as a fellow Coldwell Banker agent, owner, realtor. It was just really cool to see all that you guys have. And so it was just awesome. I was taking a ton of pictures by that way, so I'm going to R&D a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing. So this is one of the great things. Instead of getting the $10,000 that he was talking about, this will pay off way more for me, so believe me. So Todd gave me really an open slate. And I could talk about a lot of things, you guys. I can tell you about some really great, awesome apps that you need to have. I could show you exactly the blueprint of showing how you can sell 100 homes. My team and I did that a couple years ago. But I felt it was so much more important because as I look outside this room and kind of getting to know who I was going to be talking to, like, you are my people. Like when Casper, Wyoming is where our brokerage is at. Town of about 65,000 people when we're booming, 55 when we're busting. And it's just, I'm looking at the same type of people. And so I felt it was really important because I know what you guys go through. I know the challenges that the market will bring to you. I know what the challenges of being an agent can bring to you. And so today I want to focus on how you can live an exceptional life, how you can live a life on fire, and how you can make more money than you want to, but then also how you can have impactful relationships so that way you can pass it on to somebody else. So how does that sound? Does that sound good? All right, okay, so I'm going to get to my PDF here somehow, maybe, sort of, not really. So tell me about your market a little bit. Jeff and I spoke a little bit earlier in this, but market seems like it's pretty healthy. You guys made a little bit of an adjustment kind of at the end of 2018 when interest rates went up, right?
Disconnected.
There we go, nice. But I think medium sales price is $374. I saw something like average sales price was like $500,000 though. There was a real estate.
Single family's probably around
430. How much is it adjusted? But
I'd say adjusted which way?
well, over the last couple of years, you guys are increasing, right?
It was probably 3 years ago. It was probably 330.
Yeah. And a lot of your buyers are out-of-town buyers, right? So ours are the same. We're in oil, and so we're boom and bust. So we have a lot of Texas people that come up, stay for a winter.
Is oil down at the time in Wyoming, oil production?
No, right now, and that's the great thing about what's going on in our economy right now is that oil prices, oil prices are obviously not nearly as high as they've had been in years past, but they've developed such great technology now that they can actually get to the oil and produce it at such a more reasonable price that we don't have to be at. Typically, they want us to be about $65 to $70 a barrel. We can actually produce and make money around $45 a barrel, which is really, that's massive for us, you guys. And as I give you guys this presentation, you'll see why that's so important for us to have reasonable prices on oil and then obviously not have the inflation of it, because we know where the inflation typically goes, don't we?
Did you say Casper was 50,000?
About 65 when we're actually in good markets and about 55,000 when we're in a bad market. So we can have a pretty, the oil and gas industry can really impact us. That's exactly right. Yeah, and I won't get into it, but also administration too. Because obviously if it's coal friendly, non-friendly, right? We're one of the largest distributors of coal in the entire world out of Wyoming, not Casper, but Wyoming. Clean coal.
Is it going to China?
No, not yet, because we can't export it there. But it is going over to Pennsylvania, believe it or not.
Going east?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we do a lot, and then we also do a lot of California as well too. Mm-hmm.
How many people in your brokerage there? Casper.
Yeah, so we've grown over the last couple of years, actually since about 2009. Right now in Casper, we have 2 offices. In Casper, we've got over 50, and in Buffalo, Wyoming, we've got 9. So.
Are there offices in Sheridan as well? Not yours.
No, there's not a Coldwell Banker office in Sheridan. Buffalo is kind of our gateway
Those
to get into here.
Bighorns there.
Yeah, a lot of Story in that surrounding area.
I don't know why it's not showing.
Okay, you want me to start all over from the beginning?
We got you.
I could not repeat exactly what I just said, by the way, so I will not do that. All right. Okay, so we're all good. We want to be inspired. We want to live life on fire, right? We want to get the tools. Good question for you guys, right? Are you surviving? Are you thriving? Love this quote. Most people don't lead their life. They accept their life. How many of you guys can relate to that? Right? For many years, that's exactly what my life looked like. Prior to my real estate career, I had the opportunity to be a professional baseball player for the Colorado Rockies. And I was on track. And when I say I was on track, like I was in the fast lane. I had had tremendously great success. I'd led the league in strikeouts for a number of years. I'd led the Rockies' entire organization for a number of years with strikeouts. Threw a no-hitter. Threw 20-game strikeout. I faced Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa. Like I was there. I was a top prospect. And I was well on my way. And at the age of 28, it was over. Just like that. Imagine the one thing that you were good at and you couldn't do it anymore. Imagine the one thing that like you were destined to do and then all of a sudden it was over. So at the age of 28, I kind of tucked my tail between my legs. I buried my ego and my confidence and I went home. It's the only place I had to go. The only place I knew to go. I was the son of a carpenter. My dad was a builder. And so he invited me back to sell real estate. I had no education. I don't know what I was going to do. I was 28 years old. In baseball terms, 28, and you might as well be 48, right? I wasn't going to go back to school. So I came home, got my real estate license in 2006. Now, who was selling real estate in 2006? Who remembers that? So for you that weren't in real estate in 2006, was it awesome or what? Like the market was amazing. The market was fantastic. So I left a sport that I was failing at and I got into an industry that was successful. And so the pain of all the things I was going through was being masked by really a lot of uncertainty and a market that I wasn't justifiably good in. I just got masked in that. Sorry, I have my notes here. I remember telling my wife, this is how good I was back then, right? I remember telling my wife, and we were in the car specifically, I leaned over to her and I said, you will never, ever see me in the office before 9 a.m. Now, who is an agent here is in the office before 9 a.m.? Is anybody not in the office by 9 a.m.? Okay, get in the office before 9 a.m., right? I started thinking and I actually started believing that I was pretty good. And then 2008 hit. Who remembers 2008? If you're in the market, you understand that, don't you? I started believing.
It's in the back of your mind all the time.
Yeah. I experienced failure at that time. My wife had started to stay home now. She quit her job as an RN. And I started believing that this failure was going to continue to follow me in my life. I didn't know what to do. I never really sold a house before. I stuck a yard sign in the yard and it sold automatically. My father was a builder. I had inventory when I needed it. And then 2008 hit. I was experiencing one failure after another. What I didn't realize then, though, what I realize now, it is because of exactly those failures that I took the chances. I took the risks that I needed in order for me to live the life that I have right now. It's why I'm here today. through the grace of God, man, we made it through those years. It was hard work, you guys. It was head down, and I was grinding every single day. 65, 75-hour work weeks, 7 days a week. Sound familiar for those of you that were in that industry then? I didn't realize it, but much of my life was spiraling out of control because what I was trying to do was not fail in business, but I was failing in other areas of my life. I remember showing a house the afternoon that my son was born. And I say that just with tremendous humility, because that's obviously not a good thing, is it? I was stressed, but I was so focused on not failing that I started to feel that I was dropping the balls in other areas of my life. I was not going to fail, you guys. I had just failed in one of the things that I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life, and I sure as heck was not going to fail at number 2. And unfortunately, that's exactly what seemed like was going on. For the next 6 years, it would be head down, grinding out. And I started to get a vision of the future a little bit. At no point in time, and I know this is probably hard to believe, at no point did I have any coaching, right? I didn't have an education. I wasn't a smart individual. I wasn't even self-taught at that point in my life. I just worked my butt off. And in 2014, which was about 2 years after I'd bought my business partner out, we started to see some really great things in our company. We started growing a little bit more. I had a small team, and we started doing really well. And then we started growing because we were providing and we were building an exceptional culture for our company. But I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. In 2015, though, I came across Dave Ramsey. Entree Leadership. Who's familiar with Entree Leadership? Maybe Dave Ramsey, but Entree Leadership? I came across Dave Ramsey, and man, I was all in. I was all in with this guy. I started doing core values. I started creating mission statements, not only for my company, but for myself personally. I started to kind of get a vision. I started to build this trust, right? I started trusting their process, even though to a certain point, I really didn't even know what their process was, but they had had some proven success, and I really liked where we were going because we were starting to see some awesome results. And then 2015, late year, hit. Our economy crashes again. We just bought a brand new building, tripled our size. We just recently bought a new house. Our overhead had tripled, but our profits were cut in half. This was a different type of stress. This time, I had family involved. I had people that I had obviously considered family, but I literally had family working for me now. My sister was our CFO. Her husband quit his job as a teacher and became our marketing director. The stress was overwhelming, you guys. And I didn't know what to do. Sometimes the hardest part of the journey is believing you're worthy of the trip. I certainly didn't feel like I was worthy of this trip. And oftentimes I was lost. There's oftentimes I wanted to give up. I remember specifically 1 month we had enough money to make payroll and half of the mortgage. What do you do then? We're all in, right? So I started focusing. I remember this, you guys. I literally Googled one day how to be a broker. I was trying to figure out, I had an idea how to sell real estate, but I didn't have a clue what to do to be a broker. Where was I at? So I dove into more of Entree Leadership. I dove into more of learning. I started to trust this really weird process that I really didn't have a clue that I was actually in, right? And we never really do know that we're in a process as we're going through it, but only in reflection can we notice that we are, right? I started to get an inner circle of people. around me. I started to get people that would mentor me. Today I want to talk to you about the 3 things that changed my life. 3 things that impacted my life, 3 things that I know that if you guys implement them in your life, they will not only change you, they will make you somebody better than you are right now. Most people are willing to change not because they see the light, but because they feel the heat. Wouldn't it be nice if sometimes we'd make that decision to change before something really bad happened to us? See, I was willing to do the work. I just didn't really know what the work was. How many of you guys have ever felt that way?
Every day.
Right? We want a better life. We want something better. That we aspire. We want to reach for something greater in our lives, but oftentimes we don't even know what to do. And that's exactly where I was at. Now, I know that some of you are probably fairly comfortable in your life right now. Maybe you're experiencing the success that you've always dreamed of. Maybe you're just complacent. Maybe you're just, all right, everything's good. And that's okay. I'm not really talking to you. I'm talking to the person that lies in bed at night and they desire to be somebody better. Like they dream of that better person. They dream of a better life where they are on fire, not only in their business, but also in their relationships. When they look in the mirror, they see somebody that has so much more potential, but they're not there yet. That's who I'm talking to today. So the first item is trust the process. Trust the process. There's very little difference between those who are ordinary and extraordinary. But that little difference can make massive impact in your life. So as I would learn to start trusting this process of personal development, it was amazing the people that I would start to get in my life. I would call upon people that literally, one of the things that we get focused on is that we don't know that there's people around us that are literally surrounding us right now that can actually have an impact in our lives. But I started to look and question who is in my life right now that if I just simply asked for direction, if I just simply asked for coffee, if I just simply asked to sit down with them, that they could potentially have a positive impact on my life. And that's exactly what I did. I grew this inner circle of 3 people that I trusted in different areas of my life. I started coaching. I raised my hand up and said, okay, I'm in. Let's go. Everything that I'm doing right now is failing or consistently failing over years and years. I would have success, but then I would have failure, so I wasn't having any consistency. I wanted consistency in my life. So I started coaching. I started trusting the process of people that I believed in, but I had no clue about their process. And that's the hardest part, isn't it? Like having that blind faith of trusting something that you're not really quite sure if you should really be committing to because you can't see the results yet, even though the person on the other end that's giving you the advice knows exactly that if you do this, you'll actually receive you'll receive those results. Trusting the process is one of the hardest things that you can do. I became teachable. And I became very comfortable with being uncomfortable. I started trusting the unknown. You are here now. As I look down this room, as I was listening to Todd and to Shannon, you are here now because you guys believe in, you guys trust in something that Todd or Shannon or Jeff or Coldwell Banker or Distinctive Properties has done for you. In the form of value, in the form of hope, in the form of results. That's why you're here today. That's why you're here with Coldwell Banker. That's why you're here with Distinctive Properties. Is there an area in your life that you're not trusting? Is there an area in your life that maybe it's not business, maybe it's a relationship? Maybe it's yourself personally. Is there an area that you haven't given that trusting the process to? See, the unfortunate thing is that oftentimes we confuse trusting something with fear. But the difference between being fearful and being scared is that fear will actually paralyze you, right? Fear will not allow you to go and experience those results that you want. Fear will actually hold you back from the greatest things that you can ever experience. But being scared, oh man, being scared, you guys. How many of you guys have been scared before? Remember that feeling, right? Remember that feeling like in your stomach? You don't know if it's butterflies, you want to throw up, right? That dude like, oh, right? Your palms start to get a little bit sweaty. Your muscles are tense. Being scared is the exact same thing as being excited. Think about that. When you're excited, how does your stomach feel? Get the butterflies, right? You maybe want to throw up a little bit because you're so excited about something, right? Your palms start to get sweaty. Your muscles are tense. It's the exact same thing. It's a mindset. So if you're about to trust a process, understand that being scared is okay because it leads to the excitement that you're going to experience. Do not allow fear to overwhelm you. Trust the process. You can have control or you can have both. Or you can have growth, but you cannot have both. Man, I love that. How many of you guys know Pastor Craig Groeschel? If you don't listen to this guy, wonderful podcast. He's one of today's best thought leaders. Number 2 is be here now. How many of you would consider yourself a control freak? Everybody, when you get done writing that down, raise your hand. You are in real estate, you are type A personality, right? More than likely, you are a control freak. Here's the thing, you guys. When you understand that when you give up control, that's when you will grow. When you understand that the more that you give of yourself and the control that you want to take into it, the more that you will grow. You will see and you will reach limits that you didn't even know you were capable of doing if you start giving up control in your life. What would it be like to level up? Think about that. What would it be like if in your commitments, in your work ethic, in your relationships, maybe even just in your health and vitality, what if you just leveled it up one notch, right? You made that commitment in your life and you just said, this is what I'm going to be like. This is who I'm going to embody now. What would your life look like if you just made that simple commitment? Back when I started to trust the process, this is exactly what I did. I started to make the little adjustments in my life. And I started to walk away from this old theory that I had, this old body that I had, this old man that I thought I was, right? I literally thought at the age of 28 that I was old. I thought I was done. That's why I didn't go back to school. I figured I was close to 30 years old. Why do I go back to school now? I had to stop that mentality. I had to stop saying that I can't do this. I had to level up with myself in order for me to start to achieve and reach these goals. All right, so it's game time. Who wants to volunteer for this game?
Yeah, me.
You do, I know you did. You saw, you're the first one made eye contact, right? All right, okay. I want you to count 1 to 10 as fast as you can.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, A through J.
A through J, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P.
Yeah, and you went by that. Okay, all right. Now I want you to go A1, B2, C3, just in that order right there, all the way from 1 to 10 to J. Try that.
A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F6, G7, H8, I9, J10.
Okay, awesome, good job. Had to do it a lot slower though, didn't you?
Oh, wait.
Yeah. I love this game because what it does is it shows us that we really can't multitask, can we? Right? When we multitask, we take away from the best things that we can do, right? You can simply do one thing at a time really well, and you can simply do another thing at one time really well, but very rarely can you do 2 things at a time very well, can we? How many of us have been guilty when we're with our children?
That's my kids with me.
All right, Dad, well, maybe we should talk about how to father a little bit here, huh? But how many of us are guilty of that? Where we're spending time with others, but we're checking that email. We're returning that phone call. We're checking our Facebook update. I'm guilty of that. See, when we multitask, you guys, we don't just, for parents, we don't just have our children miss out on us, they miss out on the best of us. I'm going to give you some hacks how to get rid of that. Here's the thing with multitasking. Is that unfortunately what we do is when we get into multitasking, we get so focused on other things and then we get so distracted by other things that we feel bad because we didn't accomplish that task at hand that we needed to accomplish at that time. So we multitask in another area of our life so we can get done with those things that we needed to get done with, right? I call it my GSD time. Get stuff done for the edited version, right? Unfortunately, that's what we do too often. Instead of being focused at the time in the moment for what we need to get done, we overlap it into other areas of our life. All of you have this green piece of paper right here. This is the best productivity schedule that I have ever come across, you guys. I've also got it emailed to Teresa. So if you guys want this, I would recommend that you would print this off. Our staff goes through this. We give it to our agents, but the ones that I can technically somewhat control a little bit is our paid staff. So they fill this out. Here's why I love it. Because it's a daily task reminder. It's a daily thing that tells you what are the priorities of your life, right? I love these questions on the right-hand side. If you could live today over again, what would it be that you needed to get done? I think oftentimes that we think about our day as more of like appointments and then we just have to get stuff done all the time, right? And we forget that we're actually trying to create and live a life as we go through this. I love this because it actually tells you like, what do you want to do today? What do you get to do today? What would you do if you had to do this day over again? What is it that you would want to accomplish? And yes, there's other things in here about your to-do list, right? But what are the 3 projects that you need to get done? And then if you see the very bottom, I love this. What is my life theme? A daily reminder of what it is. Why do you do what you do? So write that down first. Every morning or every evening when you fill this out, write down what is your theme? What do you want to do with your life? So that way when you start to put down your projects, when you start to put down your priorities, you know exactly what you should be doing to live the life that you want. This is a snapshot of my schedule here. Now, this is something that you guys I've learned. In fact, this is something that my coach a long time ago drilled into me. If you notice on here, I have my GSD time. Everything is an appointment. Everything is an appointment. If you have date night, you put it in as an appointment. If you have lunch with your kids, you put it in as an appointment. And I know that might sound harsh, and I know that some of you guys might go, really? I'm not going to do that. Listen, we are run by our appointments. We live and die by our appointments, and we just try to squeeze life in as we can, do we not? So you're already failing at not making that a priority. So put it in as appointment. You can see exactly what I have in there because I know when somebody calls, when another person calls and I have baseball practice at 4:30, I'm not making an appointment at 4:30 because that is an appointment that I'm going to keep. It's amazing how we compromise our appointments, isn't it? It's amazing how you will not move a CMA, will you? But you might have to move that birthday lunch with your son to show a property. I've done it all too often. All right, here's my 2 hacks to be here now. When I leave work at 5 o'clock, I do not look at my email. If I'm on date night with my wife, I do not look at my email. I've been guilty in the past, you guys. Date night, awesome night, kid and wait for it. We got the babysitter, right? How of those that have kids, right? How getting a babysitter is like challenging, right? So when you have date night with the spouse, it's like, oh, this is awesome. We're going to go. This is going to be the greatest thing, right? I've been guilty of checking my email because that offer was coming in or that counteroffer was coming in or I needed an answer on something. And I checked that and yeah, I got it. But then what did? I started to scroll. And I came across that one email that completely ruined my night. Past client tells me that he listed somebody else. Seller wants to fire me because the house hasn't sold because it's overpriced and it's been on the market and he won't do any price adjustment, right? It ruined my night. And guess what happens when I come back to dinner? Yeah, I carry that burden with me. And there goes the perfect opportunity for me to be there now with probably the one person that means the most to me. And I let that moment slip by me. So be here now. Do not check your emails at dinner. Second thing is when I get home from work, you guys, I do not have my phone around me. I give my phone up for at least 2 hours. I have it out of sight. I have it out of mind. I have it out of reach because I want to be present with my kids. I want to be present with who I am around. We get so distracted by that stinking thing. And if you have older kids that have phones now, that's the rule that we have too. Phone goes up, dad's home. Let's go. I have wrestled, I have tickled, I have played with my kids so much more since we've adopted that rule. And realize, you guys, this isn't something that I've always known how to do. This isn't something that back in 2008 and 2010 that I was doing. These are things that I'm constantly learning how to take control of my life. These are things that have helped me be here now, be more present in my life, and take back the relationships that have been the most important to me. How many of you guys have big dreams? Okay, everybody, come on, raise the hands. Raise the hand. Let's go. Raise the hands. If you're afraid to raise your hand, you don't have a big enough dream, right? Being here now is so important for you to accomplish those dreams. Being here now means that you're going to be present in the areas of your life that mean the most so that you can experience the things in your life that mean the most. We sacrifice all too often our future because we believe that what we are creating now is the moment that we should be here. Right? Sometimes we don't think about the future enough. We don't think about what are we doing right now in order for us to have this awesome future. Unfortunately, sometimes there isn't a future though, is there? Be here now. The best for last. The hardest for last. Never give up. I can't imagine if I would have given up. There were times in my life that I really desired to give up. I wanted to give up, you guys. There were times where I didn't want to renew my license. There were times where I just wanted to sell everything that we had and move south because I like the warmer weather. But I just wanted to move away from my problems. But as I look back on that and where I'm at right now, when we first started our company, it was my business partner. It was myself, and it was his assistant that became our office manager, and that was it. And now we have over 50 agents. Now we have a second office up in Buffalo, and even though we only have 9, we're still the largest, so we kind of brag about that, right? Because there's only 2,500 people in Buffalo, which is awesome, right? I get to be a part of 7 other companies as well. And it's not because I'm brilliant. It's not because all of a sudden I found this magic pill or I listened to this really awesome podcast and my life changed. It was because I simply realized that if I followed these 3 steps in my life, these 3 processes in my life, and especially most importantly the last one, that if I never gave up, I was going to make it through it. How many of you are in that process right now? Or maybe you're going, man, it'd be really easy to give up. Never give up. When you know your why, how many of you guys have listened to Simon Sinek? Anybody know who Simon Sinek is? Awesome dude, great thought leader, highly you recommend him. Got a great book, is Know Your Why, or Find Your Why. When you know your why, when you know your purpose, you can stand anyhow in your life that will happen to you. When you know your why, you will have 1,000 reasons. You'll have 1,000 excuses why you're going to give up. But when you know your why, when you know your purpose, when you know exactly why you get out of bed, you will endure any amount of failure in your life. Find your why. Some of you, it's your kids. Some of you, it's your spouse. Some of you, it's your creator, because you believe that God created you to do amazing things. Find your why. Write it on your daily theme. And you will push through areas. You'll push through platforms. You will push through levels and ceilings that you never thought you were capable of doing. I want to tell you a story about a gentleman named Troy Mack. Troy is a guy that we recruited about 4 years ago. And at the time, I knew that Troy wasn't really doing fantastic in real estate. He did okay. But I felt like we could have an impact in his life. After the next couple months of talking to him after he decided to come to Coldwell Banker, I found out just kind of how bad it was in areas of his life. He was estranged from his kids. He had 2. He had massive debt. He had inconsistency with his business. And he was even questioning, like, is real estate really the industry that I'm supposed to be in? So the process began for Troy. He started to trust our process. He started to implement the tools and the things that we teach. A lot of the stuff that Todd talked to you guys today about. He started working towards and started believing in what we would provide for him, and things started to change in his life. Like, he started to see the growth in his business. But the thing that was amazing is that other areas in his life started to grow. His relationships that were wounded for years started to heal. He became a man that was once insecure, that was lost, that was questioning who he was, to a father of 2 men, a leader in our industry, and a mentor to those that are lost. And when I say lost, this is what he does now. He goes to prisons with high security, and he teaches inmates entrepreneurship, so that when they come out of jail, they are equipped and tooled to come back into society. That's what he does now. And this is a man, 4 years prior to that, was questioning if he could even and should even be in real estate. When he first came to our company, well, there he is right there, right? There's Troy now. He's our Santa Claus. He's got the awesome beard. Right? He's with one of his clients. When he first came to our company, he'd sold just 2 homes for $220,000. In 2018, he sold 40 homes for over almost $9 million, $8,759,000. That's awesome, isn't it? Seriously, that is awesome. The dude has financial freedom. Not only that, when we say financial freedom, he has saved money. We've brought him through the process of how do we create wealth. Because as real estate agents, what are the one things that we do? We live paycheck to paycheck. If we've got a $10,000 check, how much are we spending? Exactly, right? And then we forget that there's actually taxes that need to come out of there, right? But then we have that $500 check and we spend the $500, right? Or we spend maybe $3,000 of that $500 because we know that we can borrow against our future earnings, right? The reason why he gets to go and be a mentor to these men in prison is because now he has wealth to choose to do what he wants to do. He no longer allows people to dictate what he gets to do. He gets to dictate what he wants to do and what he's passionate about. He knows his purpose. He knows why he's here. And he gets to do that because he trusted the process. Because he was there now, and he is here now, and he never gave up on himself. So in recap, the 3 things that we need to do is trust the process. Be here now, and never give up. I love this quote. If the person you are today doesn't inspire the person you were a year ago, you're not growing enough. How many of you a year ago would look at yourself right now and be inspired by the person that you are? I hope so. Like seriously, I mean, it's an awesome thing, right? But all too often, you guys, that I spent many of my years, I couldn't say that. I spent many of my years lost. I spent many of my years not even recognizing that person in the mirror. Challenge yourself to be a better person now. Challenge yourself to be the person that you want to be. Don't try to change a habit before you start it, though. One of the things that we run into all the time is that we get really motivated, we get really excited, right? And we're going to change an area of our life, right? But then when we start that goal, we try to change it because we feel like we're much better than we really are. I'm going to tell you to hit the single every day. Don't go for the home run. Hit singles every single day, and then make small adjustments. At the beginning of the year, I blew up my schedule, right? I looked at my schedule and I said, you know what? I can be more, I can do more, but I got to give up some of these areas, right? And so I did that, and oh man, I was proud. I was bragging to everybody, like my entire staff, right? I was challenging them. Hey, blow up your schedule. Let's see. Do the things that are important to you, that are important to us, so that we can grow and reach these high levels of success, right? I failed more times in those 3 weeks than I did in like 8 months. But what I realized is that the things that I thought were important to my life, the things that I thought were a priority to me, they really weren't. They were just the emotional response that I was having about this man that I wanted to become. And so as I looked at my schedule, I had to continuously ask myself, is this a priority? And if it is, why am I continuing to fail? And if it's not a priority, then I need to change it. That's the future you. So as you think about today, as you think about what we spoke about, what does the future you want you to do right now? What would the future you be happy about, be thankful about that you did right now, that you changed right now in your life? What would the future you be proud of the commitment you made today in order to become the person you desire to be? Oftentimes we don't realize when we're in this moment that could be maybe pivotal in our life. Right? We don't realize sometimes we're like, this is the defining moment, right? We always look back in hindsight, like, oh man, I remember January of 2017, I was sitting at this conference and I didn't realize at the time, but I made this decision, right? This could be a decision making right now for you. This could be a pivotal opportunity for you right now to start the next chapter of your life. Understand that we are just like everybody, we're creating chapters every day. We're creating chapters of our life all the time, right? Everything that we've done in the past, those are chapters. Those are old chapters. So if those were good memories, awesome, keep them. If they were bad memories, it was just a chapter. You can burn that chapter if you want. You have the opportunity to create a new chapter in your life. You have the skills to do that. You have the knowledge to do that. What is the next chapter of your life going to look like? What commitments are you willing to make right now, today, so that you can experience the exceptional results in your life that you want to experience? Make today the starting point. Make the commitment today. become who you were always meant to be so that you can live the life that you were always meant to. Thank you. God bless. That's all I got, Todd Rowe.